Let me ask you something. How much do you think your driving habits are really costing you? Not the gas or insurance. I'm talking about the real silent killer, the money you're throwing away without even realizing it because of a few simple things you do every single time you get behind the wheel. Here's the reality check. 90% of big repair bills come from everyday habits that owners don't think twice about. Habits that are slowly, systematically destroying your Hyundai from the inside out. Engine replacements that run $6,000 to $12,000. Transmission rebuilds that hit $4,500, and the worst part? Almost all of it is completely preventable. Hey, I'm Dean. I've spent my life working on Hyundais, and I've watched good owners bleed money over habits nobody ever warned them about. I've worked on my fair share of Hyundai engines and pulled enough oil pans to tell you this straight. Modern Hyundais are great cars, but they're not invincible. So here's the deal. I'm going to walk you through 7 driving mistakes I see Hyundai owners make over and over again. I'm giving you real costs, real stories from real people who learned the hard way. By the time we're done, you're going to look at your driving and your wallet a whole lot differently. Buckle up. Driving mistake number 1, riding the brake with auto hold left on in stop-and-go traffic. You already know how to use your brake pedal. That's not the problem here. The problem is a feature most Hyundai owners never turn off, and it's quietly accelerating brake wear every single time you're sitting in traffic. Do you know the auto hold feature? Bet you've heard of it. This feature, standard on most trims from the Elantra up through the Palisade, keeps your brakes engaged after you come to a stop so you don't have to hold the pedal down yourself. Is it convenient? A resounding yes. But in heavy stop-and-go traffic, that becomes an even more resounding no. You see, auto hold means your brake calipers are clamping and releasing dozens of extra times per trip, cycles that never would have happened if you were simply holding light pressure with your own foot, the way drivers did for decades before this feature existed. And I'll be real with you, owners pay for this quicker than they expect. Let me tell you how much you could possibly lose here. A full brake job, pads and rotors on all 4 corners, typically runs $600 to $900 depending on your trim. And owners who lean on auto hold through daily stop-and-go commuting are commonly replacing brakes 10,000 to 15,000 miles earlier than owners who don't, sometimes as early as 25,000 miles instead of the 40,000 plus you'd expect from normal city driving. Do the maths yourself. I've had 2 customers with nearly identical Tucsons and nearly identical commutes, the same 50-minute crawl through downtown traffic every day. One used auto hold religiously. The other turned it off years ago and just rests his foot lightly on the pedal like he always has. The auto hold driver was back in my bay for a full brake job at 28,000 miles. The other owner didn't need one until 45,000. Same car, same roads, 15,000 miles of difference, and about $700 out of pocket sooner than it needed to happen. Don't get me wrong, auto hold isn't a bad feature. It's just not a free one. Next up is a mistake you turbo heads make a whole lot, and it's costing you pretty much your entire Hyundai transmission. Yikes! Driving mistake number 2, aggressive throttle application from a standstill. Think about the last time you launched from a red light. Now imagine that same force, that sudden, violent twist of torque, multiplied over tens of thousands of repetitions, hammering against your drivetrain components like a sledgehammer. You know that shock doesn't dissipate into thin air, right? It travels through the transmission case, into the CV axles, across the engine mounts, and finally into the rubber of your tires. And each time it leaves microfractures and accelerated wear in its wake. Take the 2021 Sonata N-Line I had in last month. The owner loved feeling that 2.5-liter turbo spool up. Every single light, he'd nail it. At 28,000 miles, he came in with a clunk on acceleration and early slip codes in the transmission. The damage report in the end was a torn engine mount, worn CV axle joints, and clutch packs that were already glazed. Total tally, $2,300. And because the ECU logs captured repeated hard launches, which was a driving behavior, not a parts defect, Hyundai immediately denied the warranty. I told him they'd do just that. The physics aren't complicated, really. Peak torque shock accelerates wear on every single rotating component by 300 to 400% compared to smooth, progressive acceleration. The financial breakdown is sobering. Listen to this. Engine mount replacement, $400 to $800. Then, CV axle per side should cost you between $800–$500. Don't forget the transmission rebuild if the clutch packs give out, which should go for $3,500 to $5,500. And finally, your tires. Aggressive starts shave a solid 10,000 miles off their lifespan. This should definitely be enough for you to slow your roll. Instead, here's what I need you to do from every single standstill. Visualize a full cup of coffee sitting on your dashboard with no lid. Now roll into the throttle like you're protecting that cup from spilling. That turbo will still sing, just not at the expense of your bank account. Better safe than sorry. Speaking of protecting the transmission you've already got, this is exactly why I put together my Hyundai ebook. It's a real-world maintenance blueprint built around the actual severe-duty oil intervals, GDI carbon prevention habits, transmission fluid schedules, and turbo protection routines that keep these engines out of my shop and on the road past 300,000 miles. If you want the full system instead of piecing it together one YouTube video at a time, the link's in the description below. Now, let's move from what you do in the driving seat to what you do outside your Hyundai. What you put on top of your Hyundai makes more difference than you could possibly know. Next up, driving mistake number 3. Loading a roof rack past its actual rated limit. You've probably eyeballed your roof rack, decided it looks strong enough, and loaded up a cargo box, bikes, or kayaks without ever checking a single spec sheet. Most owners do exactly that, and most never find out it was a mistake until something goes horribly wrong at highway speed. Hyundai roof rails and crossbar systems carry a specific dynamic weight rating, meaning the maximum weight while the vehicle is moving, and on most Hyundai SUVs that number sits around 100 to 120 to 165 pounds depending on the model, well below what people assume when they're stacking a roof box, 2 mountain bikes, and a cooler on top. That number isn't a suggestion either. Don't go thinking that it doesn't matter. That number accounts for wind resistance, braking forces, and the leverage all that weight puts on the roof structure itself at 70 miles per hour, not sitting still in your driveway. So yeah, they've run the numbers you couldn't possibly run. Overloading a roof rack and causing a rack failure, a dent in the roof, or worse, a cargo box coming loose on the highway is the kind of damage insurance companies scrutinize closely, and a claim tied to exceeding a manufacturer easily about 200 pounds by his own admission once he actually weighed everything afterward. Nothing happened on the way there. On the way back, doing highway speed in a crosswind, the rear crossbar flexed enough to crack the mounting point, and the whole setup shifted a few inches before he could pull over. He got lucky. It could have ended up on the highway behind him instead of just shifted on his roof. He was lucky, but you might not be. Check your owner's manual for the actual rated number before your next trip. It takes 5 minutes and it's sitting in a section most owners have never opened. Now, the next mistake takes us away from cargo and back to something you do every single time you get behind the wheel, whether you're driving a gas Hyundai or one of the newer electric models. Driving mistake number 4, always fast charging an electric Hyundai to 100%. If you're driving an Ion IQ 5 or Ion IQ 6, this mistake might already be shaving years off your battery's usable life right now, and it feels completely harmless while you're doing it. DC fast charging is genuinely one of the best features of these cars, and Hyundai built the 800-volt architecture specifically to make it fast and convenient. The mistake isn't using fast charging, nah. It's using it as your default, every single day, and routinely charging all the way to 100% instead of the 80 to 90% Hyundai's own guidance recommends for daily use. You see, repeated fast charging to a full 100% generates more heat and more stress on the battery cells than a slower level 2 home charge to that same percentage, and it accelerates the gradual capacity loss every lithium-ion battery experiences over its life. This isn't a dramatic, immediate failure. It's a slow one. It builds up with time, which is exactly why most owners never connect the dots. An Ion IQ 5 that showed 303 miles of range when it was new might be showing noticeably less than that by year 4 or 5 if it spent its entire life on fast chargers pushed to 100%, compared to a nearly identical car charged mostly at home overnight to 80%. Hyundai's battery warranty covers significant degradation. typically defined as capacity dropping below a set percentage within 10 years or 100,000 miles. But staying under that threshold and dealing with genuinely reduced range and resale value long before you'd ever have grounds for a warranty claim is a real cost nobody bothers to calculate until they're trying to sell the car. I know an owner who fast-charged her Ion IQ5 almost exclusively for 3 years because she, just like anyone, always wants a full charge before a trip. That only makes sense, but it only worked against her. When she went to trade it in, the dealer's own diagnostic pulled up a state of health noticeably lower than a same-year, similar mileage Ion IQ5 that had spent most of its life on a home Level 2 charger. That difference showed up directly in her trade-in offer. Several $100s lower for a car that looked identical on paper. So, charge it home overnight when you can, save the fast charger for actual road trips, and stop at 80 or 90% unless you genuinely need every mile for the day ahead. Your battery will thank you in about 5 years. With that out the way, let's head back into the driving seat. For all of you whose foot never steps off the clutch pedal, this is for you. You're going to want to pay attention now. Driving mistake number 5. Sustained clutch pedal contact while driving, you might not even notice it. A fraction of an inch of pressure, a subtle warmth radiating through the sole of your left shoe. But while you're cruising down the highway at a steady 60 miles per hour, that barely perceptible contact is quietly generating enough friction heat to turn a clutch designed for 80,000 miles into a 2-year liability. I pulled the transmission on a 2020 Elantra with a manual gearbox, only 22,000 miles on the clock. The owner complained of a spongy pedal feel and engagement that was creeping uncomfortably high. Inside, the friction disc was glazed smooth as glass, and the release bearing was deeply scored. It took us some time before eventually finding out she rested her foot on the clutch pedal constantly, even at highway speeds. That light pressure kept the throw-out bearing in perpetual contact, and the disc never fully clamped, slipping microscopically with every rotation. It hurt me to give her that $1,800 repair ticket, but the dealer would have asked for closer to $2,800, and that's just the clutch job. Here's what else that foot placement does. Overheats the flywheel until it develops hard spots that require resurfacing, which is another $300 to $500. Kills the release bearing prematurely. You can't replace just that, so you're doing the whole clutch anyway. And lastly, it also burns extra fuel because the constant slip wastes energy. So expect 5 to 10% worse MPG. Here's my advice to you, and this is honestly absolute. Your left foot belongs on the dead pedal unless you are actively pressing the clutch to shift. Not at red lights, not while creeping in traffic. If you're stopped, put it in neutral and take your foot off. Do that, and your clutch will see its full service life without crying for early retirement. Driving mistake number 6, improper RPM management and gear selection. There's this widespread misconception that modern automatic and DCT transmissions are indestructible guardians that will protect themselves from any driver foolishness. Well, do I even have to say it? No, they won't. They will obediently follow every single command you give them, even if those commands are slowly grinding internal components into metallic paste. It's called mechanical compliance, and it's staggeringly expensive. I'm talking about two extremes. First, the luggers, drivers who let the engine chug along at 1,200 RPM in top gear while climbing a grade. That low-frequency vibration puts massive stress on connecting rods and main bearings, a condition called detonation or pre-ignition. Over time, it can actually crack pistons. And secondly, the over-revvers, drivers who manually downshift with paddles and let the tachometer bounce off the limiter, stretching timing chains and hammering valve train components. This reminds me of a 2022 Tucson DCT owner who loved engine braking down hills using the paddles, but he downshifted so aggressively that the clutch packs slipped violently and the revs spiked to 6,000 RPM. At 25,000 miles, the clutch actuator failed. That cost him about $2,200 total. Then, there was this Elantra owner who habitually lugged his engine until it eventually stretched the timing chain, requiring new guides and tensioner that cost him about $1,800. That's what you're at the risk of losing if you're a lugger or over-rever. And hey, let's be honest, many of us fall under both categories. Here's what I'm gonna say. You better leave those habits behind because the cost is truly heartbreaking. As usual, I'll break it all down. Premature transmission wear from lugging means a rebuild, which should cost you anything from $3,500 to $5,500. Then, over-rev damage to top end should cost you $1,500 to $3,000 for valve train work. To avoid this, here is the operating window you always have to work with. Keep your Hyundai's tachometer needle between 2,000 and 4,000 RPM for 90% of daily driving. That's the engine's efficiency sweet spot. Enough torque without strain. Downshift only when you genuinely need extra power. I'm talking uphill, passing, you get the idea. And let the transmission upshift early for cruising. If you drive a manual, learn to rev match your downshifts to avoid shocking the clutch. Your gearbox is smart, but it's not psychic. And that brings us to the seventh and final mistake, the one that ties almost everything else on this list together into a single bad habit. Driving mistake number 7. Never reading the maintenance schedule for your specific engine and trim. Every mistake on this list so far comes back to the same root cause. Owners assume their Hyundai's maintenance needs are generic, one size fits all, when they're actually specific to your exact engine, transmission, and driving conditions. The final mistake you all make is simply not paying enough attention to the needs of your Hyundai. And to do this, you have to read your Hyundai's maintenance schedule. This really isn't negotiable. Hyundai publishes 2 separate maintenance schedules for a reason. One for normal driving conditions and one for severe conditions, and the severe schedule applies to far more owners than they realize it. Frequent short trips under 10 miles, extensive idling or stop-and-go traffic, extreme heat or cold, dusty roads, and towing all qualify as severe, and severe service intervals cut oil change mileage roughly in half and call for more frequent transmission and brake inspections across the board. Most owners never open this section of the manual and default to whatever interval their dashboard reminder suggests, which is calibrated for normal conditions unless you've told the car otherwise. The cost of skipping this isn't one dramatic bill. It's every single mistake on this list, compounding quietly over years, because the actual schedule your specific car needs was sitting in your glove box the entire time, and nobody ever opened it to that specific page. That's 7 mistakes, and every single one of them is fixable starting tonight for the cost of 5 minutes, and maybe a phone call to your dealer. Your Hyundai is a reliable machine, but it's only as reliable as the person behind the wheel. So, drive with care, and you'll see that odometer roll well past 200,000 with nothing but routine maintenance. And if you've got a driving habit you're not sure about, or a horror story of your own, drop it in the comments. I read every one. Until next time, keep your feet light and your wallet heavy. See you on the road or in the shop. Hey, the choice is yours.